Kia ora, everyone. My name is Stephen King. I'm wearing a number of hats here this evening. The first one is one of the vicars of St. Peter's on Willis Street. So welcome. Many of you will have been in this space before over the years. You may have been here for an electoral forum. You may have been here for a concert. And if you've never been here before, welcome. So it's lovely to have you all here. I was just sharing with the candidates that this turnout is as big as any turnout we've had at St. Peter's for an electoral forum in the last few years, and that includes central government and local government. So that tells me that Wellingtonians care about this by-election, they care about our city, and so thank you all for coming out. And we've been putting some material up as it goes through about voting, and we hope that you encourage all those people that you know who are not here to vote in this by-election. So the papers should come out from this weekend. Some of the health and safety things. St. Peter's, this space has been here since 1879, and in 1879 people never went to the toilet during church, so there was one in the corner. But so unfortunately, if you need to use the bathrooms, they're down there through this door and down the stairs. Now, we had a little adventure here this morning at 7 o'clock. We had a wee fire, 7 a.m. around 7 a.m. We had a wee fire downstairs this morning. And the sprinklers put it out very quickly. They put it out with about 900 litres of water. And so when you go down there, just tread carefully. It is a bit wet still, but the ChemDry people have blowers and dehumidifiers. It's a whole bunch of stuff running down there. I'm just letting you know, it looks like a work site, but it is clear for you to walk across to the bathroom. So that's where they are. If there is any reason during this event for us to evacuate, we'll exit out those doors to the back, and there is also fire exits on either side here, so we can go out those doors. Our muster point is on the other side of the road by the bike stand, the Lockie Dock bike stand. So if we have to go, I'll be up here telling you about that again. As is the kaupapa here at St. Peter's, we begin our events with karakia. So let us pray. E te atua te kai araha o ngā mea katoa, Holy God, lover of all things, you love us and long for us to care for one another. We come tonight to listen and to respond to the challenges to care for our community. Bless our gathering tonight and give us courage to listen well, to speak compassionately, and to work together for the good of all. Amen. Change hats. Now I'm standing here as the chair of Inner City Wellington. Inner City Wellington is the inner city, the CBD and Te Aro Residents Association. So we are delighted to co-host this event with EKTA, and I will get Malcolm Fu from EKTA to introduce that organisation a little bit in a moment. We try in Inner City Wellington to provide occasions like this for residents to come together to discuss the issues and to hear and learn about in detail about some of the key issues that face our city. So thank you for being here today. If this is the first Inner City Wellington thing that you've been to, we hope to see you throughout the year as we run a few more things like this. Malcolm, would you like to introduce EKTA, please?
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here today and to help co-moderate this very important event. So EKTA is a not-for-profit community incorporated in 2017. You'll see some of our activities in Wellington. We are busy twice a week feeding the indigent on the streets of Wellington. Our purpose really is to contribute towards building a more inclusive New Zealand, and we're very much focused on social cohesion. So it's great to be part of this event today.
Now, to give you a rundown on this, I've said in passing, only slightly joking, that we are asking a lot of our candidates tonight. We are asking them to be concise. really concise. Now, there's a number of questions that we will ask. They have received those questions in advance, so that should enable them to be concise. And so the format will run like this. We will give each candidate 1 minute to introduce themselves to you tonight. Then following that, we will ask them our questions. We have 7 questions we hope to get through, and each candidate will have 1 minute to answer each of those questions, and there'll be a microphone that's moving up and down. Our sound keeper will give a 10-second warning, and at 1 minute, the chicken will say, and then if they're still going, feel free to let them know that they have failed in being concise. Following that, if we can get through the questions, if we can hold them to being concise, we will take questions from the floor. And how we will do that is we will set up a microphone here and would ask people with a question if they want to just form an orderly line behind it, and we'll get through as many of those questions as they can. Asking questions, and I'll remind you again, we're trying to be concise here. We have a number of questions. You're welcome to address a question to either one candidate or all candidates, and we will be pulling you up. We don't have time for statements. A question is something that someone can answer, all right? So we will be asking you, is there a question in there somewhere if it starts going off? Following that, we will give each candidate a final 30 seconds to plea for your vote, which they will do, and that will be the end of our formal evening. Now, we have asked all the candidates if they would stay on, and we're going to gather in the garden room, which is directly through that wall. There'll be a coffee, tea, and there might be something, a biscuit or something to chew on, to give us all an opportunity for you to speak in in a freer atmosphere with those candidates. So everyone is welcome to stay following the event, and we'll move out to the garden room. And then the easiest way to do that is go out of the church and walk down either side. And hopefully our candidates are able to stay and mingle with you following that event. Have I covered everything off I promised I would cover off? Yes, I have. So that brings me to the first question, if we can. Oh, no, my mistake. The 1 minute. So I'd ask you all to make your 1 minute statement from here, and if you can speak vaguely in the general direction of this, it should be fine. So, Alan, here.
Na mihi nui Pukehīnau, ko tēnei taku mihi ki ngā whenua o te rohi nei. Ka mihi hoki oki, nā toho o rohi nei, no reira tēnā koutou katoa. I'm a long-term resident of Pukehīnau ward. I grew up and went to school here. I've brought my family up here. I've done all the school activities that go with that. I've worked in a wide range of jobs here, both in big and small agencies, including for government, and I run my own business as well. I'm a member of many local community and some national groups. This place is my home. When my children were small, I got interested in how local government can make our city a better place to live. So I'll continue to work for a local Wellington, better for all of us, addressing our big issues with local solutions. Let's use our strengths to take action with achievable, high-value projects. I'm going to share 3 projects with you tonight. Vote number 1, Ellen Blake.
Ellen Blake. Yep. Hi, I'm Zan. Thank you for having me. I'm originally from Myanmar, Burma. Came to New Zealand in 2001 to study mechanical diploma. That was almost 20 years ago. Since then, I have lived and worked in Auckland, Hawke's Bay, and finally a Wellington resident since moved to Wellington in 2008, and Wellington resident since then. This is the second time I address you. The first time was in 2022 local election. For this election, my priority is to bring the council back to its two main functions of core services and planning. In order to do that, I'm proposing Wellington special voting regions only for ratepayers and long-term residents only in capital letters. The ultimate objective is to have the council filled with residents like you and I who have chosen to live in the city. Only then can we have a relevant council. Second priority, transport. Third priority, housing. Thank you.
Kia ora koutou, my name is Geordie Rogers. I am a renter, I am an advocate, and I'm your Green Party candidate for this by-election. I'm really happy to be here today. I absolutely love Wellington. I first moved here. I grew up in a small village called Ashurst. The city was something that was completely new and different to me. Like many people, my first experience was living in a home that had a hole in the wall that my landlord refused to fix. And that's not a city that I wanted for the future. I started working with Renters United to advocate for better housing, more affordable housing, and homes that didn't make us sick. That led me to work with the council across the political spectrum to make changes that have a meaningful impact for Wellington so everyone has a place to live. I'm absolutely committed to our pipes, our public transport, and housing, all of those issues that are core to Wellingtonians. I'm really happy to be here. Thank you very much to people for hosting. Thank you all for coming. And also a massive mihi to mana whenua. Thank you.
Hi everybody, my name is Peter Wakeman. I'm a retired airline pilot, so I can be a full-time counsellor. I have worked with Singapore Airlines and their subsidiary, and I understand finance, and I wonder if you understand finance. We have a reserve bank that can create money out of nowhere, and they did for COVID, but they don't for councils. The private banks create 98% of their money when you borrow money off the bank, but they don't talk about it. Labor's introduced GST to 15%, and the Greens took on the emissions trading scheme. I spoke to the late Jeanette Fitzsimon and said, you know, you're adding to the cost of living. You know, we need solutions, and money cannot change the price of climate change. But your vote, Wakeman, number 201, Wellington Council. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Karl Tiefenbacher. I'm born and bred Wellingtonian. I was raised just up the road, just off Webb Street in a little lane. I went to Te Aro School, St Mark's School, Wellington College. From there, I went into a career in foreign exchange where I did for 18 years. I worked as a foreign exchange trader. And following that, I set up Cafe Ice. For the last 20 years, that's what I've been doing. I love Wellington. I'm a passionate Wellingtonian, but I really don't think we're heading in the right direction at the moment. I think we need better governance in council. We need better financial decisions being made. We need to truly fix the pipes. And we need to basically do better for our ratepayers without actually expecting them to continually up the amount that they're paying. I think we're becoming an unaffordable city, and I'm committed to keeping Wellington an affordable city. Thank you so much for coming along, because I think this commitment to at least participating in this election is fantastic. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Joan Shi. Sorry, it's my first time, so I'm nervous. So I'm an immigrant. I have 2 children. They are first generation New Zealander. I have been in Wellington for 12 years. My background is international businesswoman, international banker, charity worker, full-time mom, IT developer. And at this moment, I'm a student majoring in data science at Victoria University of Wellington. As a ratepayer, this fair water system has triggered me to stand for running as a candidate. So my top 3 priority would be stop vanity projects, sensible spending, and pipe before bikes. Thank you. I'm new to politics, but I'm open to listen. Thank you.
Tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. Kia ora. Hi, I'm Ed Griffiths. I too grew up in Wellington, and I've seen this city at its best and its worst. I truly love Wellington, and I see a real opportunity to support Poneki to be its best. I want it to be a city I can raise my family in. I'm focusing on addressing the issues that are causing real pain for Wellingtonians. Our infrastructure, the broken pipes, and our gridlock roads. Our buildings, the earthquake strengthening crisis that overpins the city, and our rates, trying to balance those challenges within the budget. Thank you so much for coming, and I really hope to see your votes.
Can we give them another round of applause? They did it. Can we have question one up? Thank you. So we sent these questions out to the candidates a few days ago. And so what we'll be doing is I'll read the question and then we'll hear the answers from those candidates. Question one, reviving the city. Wellington used to be the coolest little capital in the world, but now many people say Wellington is a dying city. Business is down. People are working from home. Shops are closing. Graffiti is everywhere. Students are leaving for other cities to study and people don't feel safe in the inner city. What ideas do you have to bring businesses, tourism and people, including youth and students, back to Wellington in the immediate and long term? And what ideas do you have to improve people's sense of safety in this city?
I disagree. I think Wellington is a cool city. I love living here. We have some cool events and lovely communities doing amazing things, including the work that EKTA does here from this very church. But the council is consistently failing to provide the basic elements for people, communities and businesses to thrive. We make it hard. Who wants to brave gridlock traffic, impossible parking and grimy, empty, earthquake-bound buildings to enjoy the great stuff we do have here in Wellington? Let's stop getting in our own way. Let's stop making it all so damn hard. Let's actually deliver on some of the projects that we've promised to and set up Wellington for the future. I see my focus as providing the basics that Wellingtonians are able to unleash their creativity and innovation to create this vibrant city that we talk about.
That was Ed Griffiths. Can I just ask the candidates to say your name before the answer, just till we get used to who you all are? Thank you.
Hi, my name is Joan Shi. So for my solution immediate would be abandon ideology, fix those 3,000-ish leaks at full speed. Otherwise, I really feel imbalanced being a Wellingtonian. And also the university what drove them to study in other cities because the rent is quite high. So I was to see whether we can increase house supply. That would be work with the central government. We increase house supply, and so we can have more rental supply. Long term will be again abandon ideology and prioritize council spending towards those core infrastructure and central service, especially the water again. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Karl Tiefenbacher again. I think we've become absolutely Wellington. You know, I think for me, the most crucial thing we can do is actually put the positivity back into it. I think it's very hard to be positive when we're being told we can't necessarily have a 3-minute shower, when we can't water our gardens and we can't do these sort of things. I think the council has under-delivered on what their duties are for too many years. We've put our money that we should have been putting into this core infrastructure into, let's face it, pet projects. And by that, I do mean cycleways to a large degree, because that's where a lot of money have gone. Golden Mile project to me needs to be canned immediately. The 70 million saved from that should be put into water, with potentially a small portion of it used to tidy up the inner city, because the inner city is looking shabby. We've neglected it while we've looked to do other things going forward. So I'd love to see a police station placed, a police office placed around the Courtney Place area, and we have to clean up the streets and maybe just find better homes for the homeless.
Peter Wakeman. When I lived in Singapore, the Singapore government's priority was having low-cost housing, and the government in the Depression used the Reserve Bank to create debt-free money to build housing. And the government can do that again if they want. But when you've got lots of charities running things and banks creating money and making lots of profits, billions of dollars to Australia, and then the insurance companies foreign without New Zealand using its own government, which they did when they owned lots of cars, they self-insured the government. We have a disconnect of community needs and the government. Now, you guys vote for the government, and you did last election. And I believe we've lost media scrutiny for decisions. And I think we've got to have cheap housing. And the government's way of dealing with Wellington's housing problem is lay off 28,000 people.
Kia ora, Geordie Rogers. When we look at the issues that we're facing in Wellington, many of you will be aware how much it costs to have somewhere to live, whether you're paying rent as a person living in a home or whether you're paying rent as a business, it's incredibly high. And that's because we've taken such a short-term view on the way that we build for our city. We need to be thinking about the future and building homes where there's already infrastructure. Our infrastructure is crumbling. And the way that we put money into that where it counts is by improving what we have rather than adding more to maintain. So that means building in the central city, and it means building along rapid transit routes. But people also are concerned about safety, and the best way to address that is through the Pōneke Promise, which is on the ground talking to people every single day to build solutions that are community-orientated rather than people sitting in Wellington City Council offices designing a solution. That's the approach we need to take to make the city safer and more affordable for the future so we can pay for things like infrastructure.
I'm Zen. Reviving the city, the first and easiest thing to do is to bring back car parks. More often than not, a customer to a bookshop is also a customer to a nearby cafe and so on to another retail shop. If we don't have an outgoing public in the city, there will be no viable businesses, no jobs, no rates, and we have got a city to run. There's also another benefit of having a strolling and spending public in the city is they create deterrence to crimes and other unwanted behaviors. Council probably taking out car parks to deter people from driving. It's not working. I live in Thorndon. It's easier for me to go to Lower Hutt than to come into the city. It will be easier for a Johnsonville resident to go on a road trip than to come into the city. Thank you.
Kia ora, Ellen Blake. I love this question. I think Wellington's is a very cool city, and it always has been. Every election, somebody says that Wellington's dying. Every year we talk about safety at night in the city. It's a perennial problem. Wellington's in a state of change currently with the nature of retail changing as more people go online shopping. More people are working from home. That's probably a good thing. More people live in the inner city than ever have before and in the inner city suburbs. So businesses are adapting to those changes. In fact, 2,000 new residents in Wellington every year. So my focus is on making the inner city and suburbs a better place to live. So we're going forwards into the future, into a nice 21st century future. And that will attract the businesses that we need to service the people who live here. I've got a whole list of things I'm not going to get through in a minute, but I'm focusing on sustainable transport, quality, accessible housing, and better parks and green spaces. Thanks very much. Vote number 1, Ellen Blake.
Hang on to your microphone, Ellen. We'll start with you for the next one. So question 2, just looking around, you can see that a wonderful aspect of Wellington is that people from many countries, cultures, religions, and beliefs have made the city their home. Others want to come here and live. So a 2-part question for you. What ideas do you have to make the city more welcoming and able to respond to the needs and aspirations of its diverse population? And second part, there is currently a community-based proposal to form an ethnic communities advisory group, somewhat similar to the Council's Pacifica advisory group. Would you support this initiative? And if not, why not?
Okay, so Ellen Blake again. So second part first. Of course, I support an ethnic communities council if you think that's a good idea. My experience is that advisory councils and council don't get heard very often or don't get listened to. Why? And I also think that we should have a more diverse, inclusive, fantastic Wellington where we can look at. For instance, one of my priorities is making better green spaces. So there are gaps in our green park space network. We need to see more child-friendly spaces in the inner city and suburbs. We need to see places where older people can hang out on the streets in the public space without having to pay to sit on the footpath. There's a lot of places that we could make more green space, big green spaces for the inner city residents around the railway station, around Kent and Cambridge Terrace and along the quays are some of them. I support having an International Human Rights Day activities. We never talk about that and some of the issues that people could raise at that time. And lots of funding as well. So here we go.
I'm Zen. At this stage, with the amount of spending going on and things we have to fix, I would not like to do anything other than core services and planning. But I would like to give you an answer that I gave to a question that I got asked last time. The question was, okay, now you're here asking for votes. What will make me come back again and keep on engaging me? My answer was, at the end of the day, the council have to make big decisions, and I will not be able to make the decisions with clear conscience without knowing the impacts that will have on the community. So yes, I will be out and about engaging and keep coming around. Also like to add an addendum to that answer is that we live in a modern world. We need balancing acts. Thank you.
Kia ora, Geordie Rogers here again. Absolutely. We know that when we're designing solutions, it's far better for people who are going to be affected by those solutions to be in the room helping make those decisions. It means that we don't have to spend more money doing it the right way the second time. It gets done the right way the first time. I absolutely love being in Wellington. I've been open with fantastically open arms with so many diverse communities, whether it's faith groups, whether it's ethnic groups, and I think that's what makes Wellington so beautiful. The council does have a role in making sure that culture and religion and the different groups that are in here are able to bring people together, have conversations and be connected. Because when we are connected, that is when we work best. When we're working together, that's when we work best. And so I absolutely am supportive of that cause.
Peter Wakeman. Yes is the answer, and you may know or may not know that the council is also looking at including for that sort of arrangement for refugees that come to Wellington as a support network. I think the council has a great district plan, and the council, there's lots of things we'd like the council to do, but unless we have the money to do it, and the people have the money to spend to keep the money flowing round, and I think the 15% GST sort of takes so much money out of the community. We've got to be able to have a community that can function without spending so much on rent, so much on GST. When you get your power bill, about 18.5% of it is tax, and that's less money to go around. So we've got to have communities with money.
Karl Tiefenbacher. Yeah, I think the advisory group in principle is a good idea. I'd have to see the numbers though. I mean, we need to know how much we're going to spend on it, what the outcomes we're looking for are from it, and actually make it an effective group to actually make it worthwhile. I think as a city, we are one of the most welcoming cities in New Zealand by country mile. I think we have a vast amount of ethnic backgrounds that come here, and we welcome them, and we don't actually have too many issues around that. But as councillors, our job is actually to work for the people, all the people. And so we do need to engage, and we actually need to properly engage where we listen to their needs and not actually tell them what their needs are. So I'm very, very open to work with anyone who basically wants better from Wellington, and I think that's really the job of what the council should be doing.
Hi, I'm Joan Shi. So my answer is I will talk to each residents association to get a feel of their diversity population and what they need. And because I myself is an immigrant, so I can resonate with them. I remember that when my kids were young, it was so hard for me to raise them myself because both parents are overseas. They are not able to come to help me. So I think I will support if possible, support those young working professionals when they have young kids. Their parents come to help them to look after the children, which also an important moment for them to bonding together. And central government we focus on the visa, but our council can do our part, like maybe be a more enjoyable stay for them. Thank you.
Kia ora koutou, Ed Griffiths again. I want to see a Wellington for all Wellingtonians. I love the diversity of our communities across Wellington, and I see them doing some really great things. I see this as another case of the City Council needing to support the creativity, the passion and the innovation of Wellingtonians and just make it easy. Let's give people a voice. Without water, functioning roads or safe buildings, I don't think we're currently providing the enablers for communities. That's where my focus remains, but that's a long game, so I'd really like to see this.
Okay, here's a tough question now. Funding priorities. Water pipes have been in the news a lot lately. The city needs many things to be ready for projected future growth. Repaired water pipes, new housing, more green space, better transportation routes, but they all take money to achieve. Yet households and businesses have already been hit by double-digit rate increases in recent years. So another two-part question. What areas of expenditure would you prioritize, and how would you decide what to prioritize? And what is your view on future rates increases? Go back that way.
Hi all, still Edward Griffiths. The long-term plan is shortly to be decided by the City Council and the councillor you vote in this election. I want you to feel confident in that they're going to represent your needs for these big financial decisions, and they're going to have a massive impact on the city and the rates you pay for years to come. I expect to make these decisions based on the evidence and expert advice. I will use my judgment to focus your money on things that will pay off for you. Roads, water, and critical surfaces, not pet products that would benefit few. I'd like to see the focus on core services to try and keep your rates reasonable. Thank you.
Hi. So I will focus on water, and water again, that's my priority. Regarding new housing, I think it's central government's responsibility, but we do need to rezone the land. So we need to work closely with central government to make this happen. And what's my view on future rates? I think single digit rate is reasonable, but not double. I don't support double rate increasing because it will put too much pressure on ratepayer and it will eventually pass to renters. So, but I'm also in the other side, I'm also explore the way to increase the income, the Wellington Council income. So number one, maybe 15% in total the GST. The other one is the Crown land. I'm looking at Crown land because at this moment they don't pay rate at this moment. Okay, thank you.
Karl Tiefenbacher. This is a pretty easy question at the moment, really, isn't it? I mean, obviously our water infrastructure is our main issue. It's something we've neglected for too long, and everyone keeps on saying we're going to fix the pipes, but no one does. Council after council literally have been voted in on the basis they'll fix the pipes, and then they've taken that money out of the pipe and put it into other projects. That's got to stop. Literally, we need to fix the pipes, and that needs to be our prime focus. There's going to be a lot of stuff we can't do going forward simply because the council has already borrowed the maximum under their own limits that they can borrow. They've taken their limit in 2021 in the long-term plan. They increased what they could borrow from 175% of the rates intake to 225%. By the end of 2021, they'd already reached that 225 cap. So the council have put us in a really, really awkward position. Going forward, we need to stop that. We need to make sensible decisions. Fixing the pipe is number one. Housing probably will be next, but we need the developers to tell us how they're going to do it, and we need to get out of their way rather than actually tell them how to do it.
Peter Wakeman, you can go and have a look at my YouTube channel and you will find I've given you lots of information. And one of the bits of information I've given you is questions I've asked the council regarding our pipes and what state and how much and everything else like that. And I also remind people what happened to Thames Water in the UK. It was privatised and they paid so many dividends that they really haven't been doing the maintenance. And I fear for Wellington City Council being placed by the Minister of Local Government with commissioners, because I don't believe, regardless if you have a council or commissioners, that the issue is funding. And as another candidate quite rightly pointed out, that we were going to get 150 million from the government and that's been cancelled.
Kia ora, Geordie Rogers. I think it's really difficult, the position that we're in, and I'm so happy to be able to say to my future kids, to my future grandkids, that we stood up and we fought really hard to fix these massive problems. These problems have been years in the making, and I'm not going to tell you that I can solve them overnight, because you know they can't be. You also know that the current rate rises are unsustainable. We can't keep rising at the same rate just to make up for what happened 20 years ago. We need to be thinking about broader, better solutions rather than just thinking about the two options. What I'm proposing during the rates review at the end of this year is a switch to a land value tax. For the median ratepayer, if you're living in your home, that would be 8% less that you're paying on your rates. It means that people who have empty lots or are land banking simply to make a profit would be paying slightly more. You don't have to pay for them owning that land when you're paying for infrastructure. So that is exactly what I would do, because the current rate rises are unsustainable.
Then I'm sorry to point out that a financial snapshot. Last year, council paid 47 million in interest. That's about 11% of the rate revenue. That's you can find it on annual report, volume 2, page 86. So we're pretty much hamstring. So yes, funding priorities has to be water. And then for rates, we can't go much higher than inflation adjusted rates. If it go any higher, it will be equivalent of you working for the council rather than the council working for you. Thank you.
Kia ora, Ellen Blake. So I think we need to pay for what we want. There's no two ways about that. We do not have a choice. So what do we want? I'm pretty clear about the things I'll support. I will support maintenance of our existing assets and services. I will support more green space and more varied green space for people. I will support integrated sustainable transport with a focus on our strengths of walking and public transport are the main ways that most people get around in the inner city. And I will support quality accessible housing, which there's various ways to do that, but it includes public housing. It's important that we provide good social housing. But how we fund some of those things is the issue. This has been the main issue with the water management. How do we fund it? There's a shortage of funding. Water metering might go some way towards that, but there's also things that we can look at, like the 15% of GST that we pay on rates. That's 15% more money that we could be using in Wellington if the government gave us that money or they removed the GST. So there's more ways than one to cut the cake.
Question 4. Sure. Did you hear that, candidates? If you could stand to answer the questions, it's easier for people at the back to see you. Question 4. Earthquake-prone buildings and the impact on apartment living in the city. The council is facing significant costs to remediate the earthquake-prone buildings it owns. Apartment owners have been facing these compliance costs and impacts since 2009, when the council started issuing earthquake-prone notices. ICW and apartment owners have continually highlighted the compliance costs of this legislation and the need for an urgent review of the legislation. Council is now engaging with government, calling for a review of legislation, among other aspects, given the impacts on our city as a whole. But we need to ensure that apartment owners' voices are not lost. Will you support Council lobbying the government for an urgent review of the earthquake-prone legislation? And will you ensure that any briefings provided to elected members include the impacts of those briefings on apartment owners? Thank you.
Back to me, Ellen Blake. So I know that Inner City Wellington has the expert on earthquake-prone buildings sitting in our audience. You want to know more about it, ask Geraldine. I support pretty much everything you say, if I remembered it right, Geraldine. I do support a change in the legislation regarding earthquake-prone buildings, which means that, you know, currently every time they change the legislation, the standard goes up or changes. So all the buildings have to change with it. I think that we should focus on key public buildings like police stations and hospitals and fire stations meeting the high standards. Other people go as depending on how old the building is. There's a whole lot of things to talk to Geraldine more about that. I think it's really important that we do change that because it's unsustainable. Sorry, I've lost my plot. Yes, and I do definitely think that apartment dwellers should be involved in decisions about this. It's really important that people who know the pain get involved.
I'm Zane. Yes, I will support council lobbying the government for an urgent review. I will support the council to lobby the government for an urgent review. After all, your buildings are not built willy-nilly. They are built to a standard. They have withstood a number of earthquakes, so I don't see a problem. Could they be made should they be made safer? Definitely. Yeah, briefing to be included from the residents. Absolutely, it is your council. As ICW has pointed out on occasion, that the purpose of safety is actually hurting the people in compliance. Thank you.
Kia ora, Geordie Rogers. I am unfortunately experiencing what happens when you don't earthquake strengthen a building properly. The deck at my flat is currently collapsing. And I do see how unsustainable and how difficult it is for people to access the tools to actually make their properties earthquake safe. And it's not right for the government to stand there with all of the opportunities and tools that it has and tell you that it's your problem alone to fix, because everyone's safety is everyone's problem. And so I'll be a massive advocate for going to the government and saying, actually, we need to work together on making sure that everyone has safe houses instead of just telling people to get on with it and try their best, because we can't have people in unsafe houses and we can't be putting that massive cost on individuals either. The other thing that I'll work to do is make sure that any future house that is built through the district plan doesn't have these same issues, because I don't want to pass the same problems on to future generations. So we'll work to have good quality earthquake safe housing in the central city and along public transport routes so that we don't have to do this again.
In addition to what other candidates say, I would like to add that if you're a developer and you want to build something new, the costs are immense, and the inflation rate for council infrastructure, all being a developer, are absolutely immense. And that's where I think the government, through the Reserve Bank, needs to step in so we do have alternative accommodation, because sometimes when you have a shortage of accommodation and people have to move out for repairs, it's very challenging to get the repairs done. And the government can create money and help Wellington solve its problems.
Hello, Karl Tiefenbacher again. I think this is probably the second most important issue that Wellington faces at the moment. Whether you're an apartment owner or a building owner, you're disproportionately affected, but everyone in our city is being affected. All the insurance around the whole city is being massively upped due to the fact that we're seen as an earthquake-prone city. I know that I have a factory out in Granada North. Insurance one year, $8,000, next year, $30,000. The movements are massive. There's going to be a point where we aren't going to be able to insure our own home. So I'm very, very willing to argue this for Wellingtonians. I think it's something that the council needs to focus on. We can't keep upping the standards to the point whereby something that's 100% today is 80, 70, 60, 50% tomorrow. It's just illogical. You can't possibly deal with that. We've had 465 deaths through earthquakes in New Zealand in our history. We lose more people than that on the roads every single year. We need to probably bring some reality back into our lives and actually figure out better ways of doing things.
Hi, Joan here. So yes, we are definitely support this because the other day I read the news about this uncertainty of the earth-prone building that put the apartment owner under huge mental stress. And also it's not fair for them because sometimes you bought that apartment and then a few years later someone told you that there's earth prone and then you can't say, you can and then you have to pay the high insurance cost. So I think, yes, I will support this and then work closely with the central government to find a solution because I think it's very important for our inner city. Thank you.
Hi again, I'm Edward Griffiths. With an apartment on Cuba Street, I'm really passionate about this issue, and I can attest to the stress and uncertainty that it causes. We've almost 1,000 unsafe buildings listed as earthquake prone in Wellington. Compare that to 3,000 pipes we're fixing this week. They're a bit bigger. Instead of working with the businesses and individuals who own these buildings, it almost feels like the council is working against us to fix the issue. Setting arbitrary standards, setting arbitrary deadlines, and then shifting the goalposts when we try and get there. Quite frankly, it's killing Wellington just as much as the water crisis, and we need to fix it.
We're going to flip the order of the questions because we are already touching on insurance. So we'll jump to question 6. The question is, the council and central government wants to intensify and to build more multi-level, multi-unit accommodation, i.e. apartment buildings. But being able to afford to live in Wellington is a huge challenge. And one major contributing factor is the ever-increasing cost of insurance for apartment buildings. So the question is, how will you tackle the issue of rising insurance costs, which is making inner city living unaffordable for many right now, and which could get even worse in the future?
Thanks, Malcolm. Still Edward Griffiths. This is a massive issue for Body Corps, which, despite their name, they're made up of people like you and me. The council itself is facing a massive infrastructure and insurance bill that's going to blow its budget by itself. And a lot of this expense is due to earthquake risk, which we talked about in the last question, and the risk management that seems probably pretty unwieldy to many people. There's a bit of a knee-jerk reaction to the Christchurch and Kaikoura earthquakes, as well as the growing understanding of the risk that climate change causes. A bit of hysteria, I think, in the rule-makers and the insurers, which means people are pinched in the middle between rules which elevate the risk settings to far too high for people to meet, and insurers unwilling to come to the party. We need to seek solutions to reduce the 1,000 or so buildings which are derelict, empty, and provide land use for construction new builds. Thank you.
Hi, Joan here. So my thinking is that at this moment we should on hold the building new apartment because until this earthquake-prone registration sort out, because otherwise we may have a new building today, but then a few years it become a earth-prone building and will become the apartment owners and also the council's burden. So that's my thinking at this moment. The other thing, the other one is that when I send out the flyer myself, also work by foot. I did observe quite a few inner city house that look like abandoned, like in Mount Cook. It would be nice to turn it into townhouse. Not apartment, but townhouse. It would be nice to have more housing supply. Thank you.
Karl Tiefenbacher. I think I've already touched on that on the last question, really. The earthquake-prone buildings relates directly to our impact on insurance. I mean, literally, we're getting weighted 10 or 12 times higher than other cities that don't have quite the same earthquake risk profile. Nothing can change without that changing to start with. There is a group of really good businessmen who are actually working on a project at the moment that I had the pleasure of sitting down with the other day, whereby they're looking at grouping Wellington as an insurance risk, and then they believe that if they can work the numbers right, that they should be able to drop our insurance substantially by 25 or 50%. But unfortunately, that's a long way off. You know, there's a lot of work that's going to need to be done for that to happen. Realistically, insurance is impacted by our earthquake rating. So those two questions are totally linked. We need to basically fight for basically better for Wellingtonians. And the only way we can stay affordable to live in and to be able to insure our own homes, which you need to do to be able to live here, for most of us that are trying to buy into the market, we need to make sure that that is capped on the insurance side, on the earthquake prone side.
Wakeman, standing for council, so I can sit in council. The thing is, a friend of mine, he's got a call from the bank to say your building is not insurable anymore, so we want the mortgage back. So that forced him to sell his building, and the people staying in that building are ones that they paid cash for it and they don't have any insurance. Now, the government provided Air New Zealand insurance. If you can remember when we had 9/11, the commercial people wouldn't provide insurance, but the government did. Now, you all seem to forget that the government is the one who can help things. It's the regulator of insurance. What did the national government do for the Christchurch earthquake? It took the debts of AMI and then sold AMI, and they could have had a New Zealand-owned insurance company. They chose not to. So when it's a free market, it's a free market. But when it's the government can determine the market.
Geordie Rogers. I thought I'd never be able to own a home, and my flatmates got a little bit excited and thought we should go to some open homes, and very quickly we realised that not only could we not afford to own a home, we couldn't afford to insure one. So I totally empathise, especially with people who have grown families in homes, the concept that the insurance costs might force them out. The council is facing the exact same problem, to the point where they have to self-insure. No one's going to insure them for the things that they have. I'm really proud to have worked with the council when they were going through the spatial plan to make sure that when we were looking at where we're going to build new houses, we were looking to build them in places that were more stable, where there was less risk from earthquakes, because that is what's going to reduce those insurance premiums without having to wait for the government to do anything. We can act right now, and we can make a difference for everyone living in Wellington and everyone looking to move here.
Zan here. In terms of intensification, we have to be really careful about what we're going to develop in and around CBD. We don't want to create a choke point, which I'll come back in question 5. And in terms of our insurance, it's a big issue. It's something we have to work with the community, with the council, and the government. Thank you.
Kia ora, Ellen Blake. So this is a really big issue. Already some people can't afford to insure their housing, and they're not insuring their housing. So they're in apartment buildings with no insurance. They can't sell. So it's a real issue, really crunchy for a lot of people right now. I don't know what the solution is for private owners, because you don't have very much clout. Good that Karl's doing something. The thing to do is that for the government to cough up and change the earthquake regulations so that people can insure their house. That's a kind of long-term thing, looking for some more solutions on that one. But the council has a big insurance issue as well. They need to insure all the assets and services that we use. So I do support council moving towards what they're calling a perpetual fund, but you have to fund it somehow. So they're talking about selling off the airport shares or various other ways of trying to fund that. So I think that council also needs to be able to look after its own assets and us, and if there's an emergency like a big earthquake. Thank you.
Okay, we'll jump back to question 5, candidates. Question on the Golden Mile. A major development, the Golden Mile, has been affected by the change of government and some of the Let's Get Wellington moving work in this area has come into council. It's an opportunity to revisit the plans and adjust the funding accordingly. What do you want to happen with the Golden Mile, and if you become a councillor, what will you contribute to the review process?
Oh, thanks, Ellen. Blake again. So I have contributed a lot to the Golden Mile in my role as the pedestrian advocate, working with Let's Get Wellington Moving on every single project that they've been part of. So that one of the main purposes of Let's Get Wellington Moving was to get the buses moving better along the Golden Mile. We still haven't achieved that. So we do need to do something to future-proof Wellington, our main route through the city. And I really think we should if we want to look like a 21st century city. So some of the things that we can do, I think, is close off all the side streets and get that movement going along there. Most of the traffic in along Lambton Quay is cars going round and round looking for parking. That's crazy. We need to make sure that the buses can move along there properly. We need to make sure that people are safe walking along there and feel comfortable walking along there. Lighting at night would be a really good issue for our first topic. So we do need to do that. We can take an incremental approach, though, and not have to do it all in one hit, costing $139 million. I'm not sure how much choice we've got now, though. I think there's some commitments have already been made, so watch out in that space.
I'm Zan. Golden Mile, quick answer, just scrap it. It's about how we organize Wellington in terms of transport, in terms of services, in terms of facilities. Before we even go there, we need to recognize 3 overriding peculiarities and make Wellington Wellington. One, with Wellington, with its harbour, it's the only location in North Island that can practically accommodate the inter-island ferry crossing. Also, in terms of north and south direction, it's in the middle of the country. That's why it's been the capital since 1865. Second point, in addition to being in strategic position, it is small and hilly. Half the city, Geordie and Gandala side, they are all on the hills, 200 meter and above. And the third one, CBD is the only plot of land through which is a way to the southern suburb and eastern suburbs. We need to be careful. Thank you.
Kia ora, Geordie Rogers. The government has made its final decision on the Golden Mile, but I think if we just looked at it all and learnt nothing from it, that would have been an incredible waste from what we've already spent. What we do know is that people are rushing back to public transport because fuel prices are getting hiked up. We know that people are continuing to walk to work as the second most common way to get to your destination in Newtown. For the central city, we can see those buses lining up, especially during peak hour. And we don't need to spend hours consulting and going out to lots of groups when those groups are already in the room telling us exactly what they need. We need to be focused on delivering for people if we want to have any hope of meeting our climate reduction goals, if we want a future for our kids to live on where they can get around the city easily and safely, regardless of what mode of transport that is. And so the Golden Mile was just a project. I am fully committed to Wellingtonians and the way that they want to get around their city.
Peter Wakeman. Well, some years ago, the government, well, the local council here was looking at putting more roads underground to free up above ground, and that we have a habit of doing things immediately rather than what's right and what's long term. So with the new government, with the idea of getting another tunnel, goodness knows when, I would have thought the idea is stronger than ever to have some more underground roads to free up the city without any problems. But the thing is, a new government, it's going to require some discussion and relationship building, because I honestly think Wellington is looking at going, it can't really do any more if it doesn't have any money, and the rates are just going up and up.
Karl Tiefenbacher. This one I'm passionate about. I have a business on the Golden Mile and I've been going to meetings with Let's Get Wellington for 5 years plus. Literally 5 years ago, I knew that Let's Get Wellington moving needed to be abolished because it was just a waste of our money. The Golden Mile project. The Golden Mile project is also an absolute waste of money. Unlike Geordie said, it's not actually dead and buried yet because the Mayor really wants to push it through. The government has already still committed $70 million at this stage. We would have to raise another $70 million to continue. We need to stop it. We need to stop it tomorrow. We need to give certainty back to the businesses along the Golden Mile that you can go move ahead without the threat of 3 years of construction around your area killing your business. There are a whole heap of businesses along the Golden Mile, should we call it the Silver Mile for now, who basically have not re-signed their leases as of yet because they are concerned about the effects of that Golden Mile on their business. I'm one of them. I extended my lease for 1 year last year simply because I think if it carries on, I might as well close up. We need to stop it now.
Hi, Joan here. So just as I mentioned before, one way I try to increase income, the other way is I try to fund savings, and the Golden Mile would be one of the projects I will try to fund savings from that because I'm not fully support this project. It costs us $139 million, and I already heard a lot of negative comment about that. So I will spend more time on that and then talk to the people and then to see whether we can have a better design or better solution. So before I came here, I received an email about ask me why do I live in Lambton or do I have any business in Lambton? No, but I grew up in a business family. So that's my background. I grew up in business family, so I have empathy for that. I know how hard when you run a business yourself. Thank you.
Kia ora, Ed Griffiths. I don't think anyone's going to say that the Golden Mile's been a successful project. 70 million in the hole, and what was it? One universally hated intersection to show for it. However, the grand plan, I think, actually has some elements worth saving. And it is $70 million of your money that has been spent on consultation to understand what the people of Wellington want. There are some really cool pieces of innovation. I think the lack of national funding will provide for, and I see. So while there's some significant tension between local and national governments around how money is going to be spent in a tight fiscal environment, rather than relitigate some of those consultation decisions, I want to focus on the delivery of those small value-add pieces of the Golden Mile, which really add value. Thank you very much.
Great. Well, we've asked 6 questions about the city, and our concluding question before we open the floor to your questions is about the council. So every day it seems we're reading about a dysfunctional council, councillors disagreeing with each other, the mayor in the news, work not getting done, budgets blowing out. So again, a 2-part question. If you become a councillor, how will you tackle improving the transparency and communication of council activities and decision-making? And how would you ensure that feedback from public consultations is properly weighted in council decisions?
Thanks, Michael. Kia ora koutou, still Ed Griffiths. One of the people in this room today will become a councillor. It's nice to see them in person, isn't it? I truly believe that elected officials are here to serve the people. And how can we do that if people lack trust in us? I'd like to believe that unless there's really good justification for withholding information, that we should seek to be as open, transparent, and proactive as possible in providing information to our people. It builds confidence and it ensures that the public have a full and unbiased story. I expect, as part of my role as a councillor, if you select me, is to do the due diligence, to be informed about the decisions on the table, including public submissions, and make the right calls. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Joan here. So if I become a councillor, the first thing I would to do is to consult with a lawyer to make sure what kind of thing I can say, what kind of thing I should not say, because I fear this council, the current council is quite weird. Being a council become a dangerous job because so if you want transparency and communication with you people, maybe if the mayor decided you are leaking the sensitive information, you may be under investigation. So, and then the ratepayers have to pay the bill of the investigation. So that's why I think being a council is a dangerous job. Anyway. How I ensure the feedback that be properly weighed in council decision. I think if you care about this city, you will do a good job. You will put in your hard work, where preparation, where presentation, and follow up. Just like what I have done, I work every street in the Lambton at this moment. Thank you.
Karl Tiefenbacher again. Basically, there's no room for party politics in local council. Everything has got to be done. Everything has got to be done in the interest of the people. I mean, that's the whole purpose of it. That's one of the things that enrages me about our current council, that they can have a 75% consultation, which they've reworded the word consultation to mean we consult, but we don't listen. You know, there's a great saying that basically you're given 2 ears and 1 mouth. Potentially you should use the ears more than you do the mouth. Reality is, if 75% of Wellingtonians don't want something, we should not do it, full stop. We need to basically know what they're doing in council and what decisions they're making, how they're making them, why they're doing it, and that should be really transparent. So I'm all for an open and transparent council. If I'm get elected and I do things you don't like, tell me about it. I'll have a conversation. I've got one policy in life, and that's basically, I might not agree with you, but I'll tell you why I don't agree with you, and we can have a conversation about it. We need to get that sort of thing going around council.
Peter Wakeman. Well, I tell you what, the Office of the Ombudsman under the Official Information Act knows me and has restricted me to 2 things. And then he says, I don't have sufficient interest to pursue some of my complaints about misinformation with government departments. Now, I have a nightmare reading about the Wellington Mayor. That's before I look at code of conduct stuff. And the thing is that councils, you've got to know what happens. A lot of things need to be on the record. And when you have meetings in secret, they're secret. And we have too many secret things. And I believe that all councils should be transparent, so you don't actually have to ask for official information. You can keep up with what's happening. Because if you don't know what's happening, you can't ask the right questions. And if you're a councillor, you're relying on bits of information, and you really want to be on top of everything.
Kia ora, Geordie Rogers. My background in advocacy, especially with renters, has been about taking the voices of people to those who are making decisions. So I know just how important it is when you put in all of that work, getting your community together, having discussions and presenting that, to then have it ignored. I am absolutely committed to being transparent with you, and I want to take that a step further and make sure that you are involved in the decision making. I'm not going to make a decision for you and then tell you what it is. I want you to come with all of us. We need to be working together to actually decide what happens next. That is basically going to be my policy. I think you need to be involved in the decision making at every single step, not at the last mile, to make sure that we're actually doing this right from the start. So I'm going to invite you all on that journey with me to make sure that the council is making decisions with you that are in your best interest for you.
Zan here. First, I'd like to clarify my earlier question about Golden Mile. Golden Mile development, scrap it, keep it as it is. The dysfunctional, it comes from imbalanced composition in the council. This council, previous one, and the one before that, at least more than half are from political parties. That's something that we, the residents, can't challenge. In Wellington, it's a political town, political population. There are about 30,000 students. 27,000 public sector staff. If they vote, they will not vote like us. They will not much consideration for costs and consequences. Yeah, this is your council, so yeah, please keep it that way. Thank you.
Thanks, Ellen Blake. So having been involved with a lot of council processes, I don't have a lot of confidence in their public consultation. They don't ask everybody who's infected by things, and they certainly don't listen to it. So if 75% of people say something, have you asked everybody who was involved? Quite often we see that they haven't. So I think there's a lot of improvement that could be made there. The council has a lot of policies as well that they don't actually follow when they make decisions. So I would like to make sure that they do actually follow the policies. The policies are supposed to be made in a public process. So it's important to me that things the public have been involved in are followed through. So it's important for me, and when you elect me as vote number 1, Ellen Blake, for your councillor, I will be transparent. I will keep a log of who I've been talking to. It's really important that you know who's been lobbying me. I will report back regularly about what's happening within the council, and I will definitely reach out to people and actually talk to them who are being impacted by proposals. So thank you very much. Thanks for coming.
We come now to the time in our program where we're going to take questions from the floor. I'd ask that if you have a question, you could just line up at this microphone. Again, I would ask that you work very carefully to frame a question. Because brevity is a thing here, we have 7 candidates. Please tell the candidates whether it's addressed to one or several. And if we get to a point where it sounds like a statement, and I'll probably give you about 15 seconds before I call you off, okay? This is not a time. I'm the one that does the preaching in here, not you guys asking the questions, all right? So away we go, team. Just leave it in here.
Question for all. Kia ora, Alistair Duncan, Grey Power, Wellington, and if you're not a member already, there's a few of you eligible in this room. My question is for all the candidates. We have seen cleaners, supermarket workers and restaurant workers have fair pay agreements ripped up in their face, and now an attack on thousands of public servants in this town where we desperately need their income. What do you think the current council is pushing back against the three-headed monster of central government? And if not, what will you do to help that? Thank you.
I've got the microphone. I wasn't exactly sure what do you mean the council pushing back against?
Well, the council be more active with your support, standing up to central government's attack on wage earners in this town.
I think the council should definitely be paying fair wages for everybody, and as much as they can, they should definitely be lobbying government to make sure everybody's getting their fair wage.
Yeah, sorry, I'm not clear with the question. But yeah, in terms of council, it has a certain revenue and about 400 services. It should be about how can we effectively achieve those services. I'm sorry, I'm not clear with the question.
Kia ora, Geordie Rogers. I am a proud supporter of the Living Wage movement. I've been to many of their forums and supported what they do in many different ways. I think it's incredibly important that if we're employing someone as a council or even a business in this city, you pay them enough that they can live. That person is working for you. It is absolutely your responsibility to make sure that they're not doing it at the cost of their own livelihoods. We know how hard the cost of living crisis is. There's no reason that we should be paying less than what it costs to live.
Well, personally, I've campaigned against GST, the emissions trading scheme, and having a financial transaction tax. So the more you earn, the more you pay. And the thing is that the Greens want to have a wealth tax as well, and also I think a carbon tax. So I don't know how I'm going to do that. So it's up to the mayor. That the councillors can be in deep trouble if they take over the mayor's job. We would, as a councillor, I would encourage the mayor to be proactive in that area and be a role model at looking after Wellington's interests, because a lot of people are worried about their job, whether they work for the government or someone else, or whether they have enough money to pay the rent and live. It's a very serious concern, and I have been not a new person on this. You can check all the records on YouTube and Google, and you'll know that.
Okay, I've got a different take on this. Unfortunately, I couldn't support.
Yeah, we are keeping time on.
Oh, the answer's going to be really short. Okay, unfortunately, I can't support that. Living wage is a good idea. It's designed for a single person looking after another family member with 2 children. And unfortunately, it also is incredibly inflationary. When the minimum wage has gone $8 up over the last 5 years, it's great. You don't have to like it, but that's reality, because our rates are tied straight to the amount we pay. That's simply how it works. If living wage keeps on going up, our rates go up, guaranteed, by a corresponding amount. Unfortunately, what that means is that people that maybe do a very menial job will get paid very similar to someone like a nurse, which then puts pressure on their wages, which then puts pressure on the policeman's wages. It's a great question, a great answer, but unfortunately, people that really want the living wage also want free buses. Now, unfortunately, you can't have everything in life. We do have constraints.
Hi, Joan here. I have to double check your question. Can you say it again, because I don't want to get it wrong. So what's your question again, please?
The question was,
you mean as a councillor, how can I stop central government to cut those jobs?
how will you represent that to central government as a councillor? The question is, how will you as a councillor, or will you as a councillor advocate against some of these central government changes that are costing jobs in our city? Yeah? Thank you.
You mean to cost, I still can't understand. So you mean those job cut, how can we support those people if they are laid off? Is that what you mean? Right? Yeah. Okay, yeah. I'm laid off. I was laid off 1 year ago. So that's why I have to work very hard, and then being a student at the same time. So I feel you pain. I feel you pain all those those people that lay off. At this moment, I don't have solution, but I will consider how to support those people, because I actually one of them. Yeah, thank you.
Oh, don't you think the job of councillor is hard enough without that one? I definitely support that we don't leave anyone behind, and we make sure no one is disadvantaged in the way we pay people. I haven't given a great deal of thought about how a councillor can impact on that. I think we've got enough challenges in front of us with the challenges in our city. Maybe you should have asked this last round when the councillor went to Parliament, or think about it in a couple of years' time. We've got a government which believes in a different economic system than maybe we do in this room. And I think the choices we make at the national level will be really important. And hopefully the partnerships and the modelling we can do at a local level will help lead that. So thank you.
Thank you, Matthew Underwood. I think this is the question for everyone in the room, but if I could just hear answers from Geordie and Karl. And the question is, what skills and experience do you think you need as an incoming councillor, and how do you have those? And I asked that question because 13 or 14 months ago, I heard our mayor say she had never been in a council office until she was mayor. She realised she had no idea how it worked, and she realised she had no idea how to deliver on what she had. So let's see if we can do better.
So, Matthew, who was that question addressed to?
To Geordie and Karl.
Geordie and Karl.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've run my own business for the last 20 years. What that means is you have a lot of issues thrown at you on a regular basis, and you have to make good decisions. Basically, if you don't survive. You know, I think a lot of the stuff we're doing in council is just not looking at the problems and also the cause and consequence and the reality of the affordability of it. I think that's what you do in a business. And the reality is the council is a big business. That's all it is. They take our rates, our money, and they do what they're supposed to do, the basic stuff with it, which is fix our pipes and basically run our city. It's actually not that complex. We make it a lot more complex by basically doing pie in the sky dream stuff in the future and look 30, 40, 50 years ahead. But the core of what we do is actually really simplistic. So making good decisions is basically what you do every day in business.
Kia ora, Geordie Rogers. Thank you very much for that question. I've had the privilege of being in the council chambers when decisions are being made. I took an unpaid day of leave when the spatial plan was going through because I knew how important it was to be in that room talking to people who were making decisions. I have the experience in that room to hit the ground running. I will not need to get up to speed for you. Outside of the work that I've done in council, I've worked with charities to get people into internships in the entire country. We did about 400 internships in 1 year, managing a program to actually upskill people. Everything else about my experience is about connecting with people, and good governance comes from ensuring that it's led by people, not by just the people in the room. So I will work like I have before for you, bringing those voices into council and hit the ground running from day one to solve the issues that matter to you.
I thought he also asked others to comment as well.
No, he just specifically asked for two, which is his right as a questioner. So next question, please.
Tēnā tātou, I'm Mina Kadri. Thanks so much to all of you for being here, and this is a question for all of you. I'm keen to hear about your perspectives on mana whenua, tangata whenua, and te tiriti o Waitangi.
Well, thank you very much. We're going to have a new government that might change our views on it, but my ancestors were French and they arrived in Akaroa, and I have spent my last holiday in the Chatham Islands looking at the Moriori and having peace and not killing anyone, and I do like that, and I have been on various maraes, and I obviously believe in the treaty, and the issue I have with it generally is who is speaking. Like, for example, in the South Island, you have Ngā Tahu, which owns dairy farms on one aspect. Then on the other aspect, they want to look after the environment. So I get confused on who is actually speaking.
I will honour all obligations that we have as a council to everyone. I believe in everyone being looked after equally, in that we need to basically treat every single person that we work for in council as an equal.
Hi, I actually not really quite get the answer, the question, but I guess that if I become a councillor, I will consult with the other one or two EV councillor in Wellington Council, because I heard that they have one or two there, and also my philosophy always that everyone is equal. So no matter you are Maori or you are Pukehīnau or you are immigrants, whatever what race you are, you have equal rights. I always stand for that. Thank you.
Got a great question, Mina. The treaty is one of the founding documents of New Zealand, and to ignore it would be just offensive. And it's the basis for how we need to run our country, co-governance and partnerships between the people of New Zealand, and have done amazing things and provided new opportunities and new perspectives. So I think it needs to be respected.
Kia ora, Mina. Thanks for the question. I think that Treaty is the founding document of our country. I'm really proud to be part of a city that is developing its relationship with mana whenua. I'm really pleased that we've got a Māori ward. I'm really pleased that we've got our two iwi reps on council. I'm really looking forward to how that's going to develop into the future. I think we've got great things coming, and I'd like to see more te ao Māori in our city. I think we're a bit too white.
Thanks.
All right, thank you. Just let's keep it to question and answer. There'll be an opportunity for us to engage with each other a bit later on.
Yep, thanks. Yeah, New Zealand wouldn't be New Zealand without Maori and European settlement. And going forward, we need to recognize the past wrongs and move forward. Thank you.
Kia ora, Geordie Rogers. I really want to say thank you for asking that question, because even though it wasn't explicitly asked in any of the questions beforehand, te tiriti or waitangi flows through every single thing that the council does. Any person who stands up here and tells you that they're going to make a change but can't give a full response about how they're going to embody te tiriti or waitangi in every decision they're going to make is going to be held up in endless legal battles, because you just can't get anything done if you don't recognise the founding document of Aotearoa. It is not just a moral requirement, but it's also a legal requirement. I will absolutely respect te tiriti or waitangi in every single thing that we do. It has massively positive effects for everyone involved, Māori, non-Māori. It is Aotearoa, and I'm so proud to support the document. I will continue to do that because that is what is best for all of us. It is what our country is founded on, and that is exactly why you need someone who knows that and can take that with them for every single decision instead of being caught up.
Now, we're currently at 7:26, so 26 minutes past 7. We are scheduled to wrap this at 7:30. Now we have 5 questioners standing. I personally am happy, but I will take the lead from the meeting, and I'll just ask for, in a moment, I'll ask for a quick show of hands. If we we've got to take all 5 or none of them. That's not, I think that's the all 5, or we can drop it at 7:30 and we can go across and have a cup of tea and you can bail them up individually. So it's 5 more questioners. So it'll probably take us about 15 minutes over, or we stop now and we move across to have a cup of tea and you can visit with them. So if you are all those in favour of hearing the last 5 questions, raise your hand. All right. Yeah, I expected you 5 too. And against? No, I'm pretty comfortable that the people in favour of that have that. So ask your questions. Let's make them brief. Let's keep our answers brief, team. Thank you.
Kia ora koutou. Question for everybody. In light of the new government's absolute discrimination against transgender people in this country, how will you personally as councillors make sure that this city is welcoming of our trans whānau, including making sure they have safe access to the bathrooms that they need to go to, including safe, accessible access to sporting activities and other events are important to the well-being in their lives?
Kia ora, Geordie Rogers. I am fully supportive of our trans whānau. No matter where you are, what you're doing, and who you are, you deserve access to safe, healthy places to go and do your wharipaku, to do anything that you want. You deserve the same rights as anyone else in the city. When I think about my house, the bathroom in my house, it's not gendered. We can take the same approach because trans people are people, trans women are women, and trans men are men. So I fully support them, and I will be unwavering in that.
You can go either way.
I'm the only one if I'm in council, I will be voting for things, and the council, I'm sure, will carry on with the current policy.
I think I just said it before. Everyone in our society is equal, no matter what their differences are. That's it. Everyone is equal, full stop.
Same as Karl, my philosophy always like that. I don't care about what race you are. We are all human beings. That's my answer.
I see the diversity and inclusion of Aotearoa, of our communities, as being a huge strength of living here. And I see Wellington for all Wellingtonians.
Oh, yeah, thanks. New Zealand's quite a liberal country. I don't think we have to worry about discrimination. I think it's pretty good country. Thank you.
Thanks, Ellen Blake. So I take a human rights-based approach. Everybody is equal. I echo the sentiments of other people.
Thank you. I'll keep mine short. My name is Ian. I'll aim it to Alan and Geordie and Karl. If we had to make $15 million worth of more expenditure on Wellington Water and fixing their pipes, and you only need to give me 2 or 3 words in the answer, where would you look to make cuts in existing expenditure to compensate for that?
15 million?
That's the one that's 15 million. Where are you going to cut?
Okay, so I'd ask for more money for the 15% GST from government back. I would probably not pay. I would probably
cuts. Where are you going to make
yeah.
cuts?
I'm just going to say it. So what I would probably not fund is that the buying whatever it is under the Reading Cinema. We wouldn't be buying that. There's various. I'm not sure about the town hall anymore. I love that heritage building, but it's not going to be a town hall for us. So some of the spending's been committed. So it's also finding out what's up for the grabs. But I think there's some new projects that are coming along that we probably don't need to fund.
Kia ora, thank you. It's not a hypothetical, it's the reality that we live in. So I don't have to think about it. It's the town hall for me.
Golden Mile, gone. The Thorndon Road changes, gone. The Corey line, one that we've just started, gone. The Island Bay Road, that basically, the Island Bay Road that we're working on, and if you drive along Island Bay at the moment, it says expect disruption, 1st of January 24, November 24, gone. No brainer.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Next question.
Kia ora. My name is James Fraser. I'm co-convener of Save the Basin campaign. Do the candidates agree that with a climate emergency and the increased risk of flooding from extreme weather events and the potential loss of another 120 houses in a housing crisis, 4 lanes to the plains and another Mount Vic road tunnel was so last century? Thank you.
I think that's pretty close to a yes/no answer.
Sorry? Could be a yes/no answer. I think there's a couple of parts to that, so a yes/no answer is probably going to be a little bit challenging, I'm afraid. I believe in we need to enhance and strengthen the infrastructure and resilience of Wellington transport. It is too hard to get around our city. I absolutely agree that it is a real challenge when balanced against the economic and hardship of a potential climate crisis. And I think there's no simple solution.
4 lanes to the plains, yes or no?
A political answer of maybe.
Sorry for that. I actually not really get the question. So
it's the proposal to make a 4-lane road to the airport from the city.
Oh, that one. That do I support or no? Yeah. You mean to repurpose the Hai Tai Tai bus tunnel? Is that one?
Yeah, new tunnel.
The new government plan to build a new tunnel parallel to the existing one, and all its accumulated collateral damage.
So that one is
either side.
So that one is like repurpose Hai Tai Tai bus tunnel, right? Is that one?
A new 2-lane road tunnel was planned by the new government.
I think I will have a look at that. Otherwise, I don't want to answer the long. Yeah, I will have to look at it. Thank you. But you are welcome to send an email. Send your question to my email so I can answer. Thank you.
Okay, I will. Thank you.
I'm going to go with Ed with a yes/no answer. I think it's very unlikely to happen because I think with the government's financial constraints, I don't believe they'll be able to fund it anyway.
Thank you.
Well, unless, as I said before, they're going to do the other half of it, it seems a waste of money.
No, they did it in Auckland, bumper to bumper, won't work here.
Thank you.
Not the particular 4-lane, but we need to do something. It's a strategic position, middle of the country. Yeah, we have to do something. Thank you.
Thank you.
Kia ora. I support integrated sustainable transport that makes climate action. So that's walking, public transport and cycling. That's a big no to wasting money on more roads.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next question.
Yes, a question for Geordie. You're the only candidate standing for a party, in this case the Greens, and the Greens have in government with the Labor passed laws which, such as the 90-day.
Can you speak in the microphone?
Regarding rental houses, and the laws passed by the Green Party, and in your own comments have been very derogatory against landlords. Now, this persuades some landlords not to provide rental accommodation. So what you're doing is affecting the supply negatively. The demand is up.
What is the question, please?
Yes, and the rents are up. Don't you realise that your actions are working against the very constituents that you're looking to help?
Is there a question there for you to answer, Geordie?
I think I can find a question in there. This is, certainly something that is discussed often. When we look at landlords that are overseas, which are many of the landlords that I look to, they are fantastic and they are nailing it. They give people healthy, affordable homes. And yes, they make a little bit of money from it. It is not my fault for asking for people to do the same here. The evidence also shows that the reason rents are going up is not correlated to that, but actually when you look at the reports put out by the Reserve Bank, they show the correlation is closer to the amount of housing that we're actually zoning for, and that is exactly what I am focused on, is actually making sure that we have enough homes for people to live the way that they want.
Hi, I'm the lucky last, short and sweet. How many of you have ever been to a council meeting, made a written submission or made an oral submission? Yes, yes or no? Thank you.
Yes. Yes. Just put your hands up if you've done that. Yes, yes, yes. Yeah.
Does it have to be all three or?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, sorry.
I've done all three plus a whole lot more.
Right.
And then I've gone to the Ombudsman.
Did we get an answer from everybody? You comfortable with that? Okay, thank you everyone for letting that question time extend. The last thing is they've each got a 30-second plea for you to vote for them. So let's, we'll start at, Ed, we'll start at this end and go this way. Come up here and do that. Your best begging starts now.
Thanks, Stephen. Kia ora koutou. I am still Edward Griffiths, possibly for the last time tonight. We face some huge challenges, and I'd like to hope that through my answers tonight, that I've shown that I will make practical, evidence-driven decisions to do the right thing for Wellington and for Wellingtonians to solve those challenges. It's our city, and I want it to be the city that I want my kids to grow up in. I want to represent you and your needs. Let's get back to basics so our city can thrive. Vote number 1 for Ed Griffiths.
Hi everyone, Joan Shi here. So I'm why vote for me? Because number 1, I'm a good listener. I will listen to you and represent your voice on the council table. Number 2, this failed water system needs a collective teamwork, and I'm a team player. And I have energy, resilience, commitment, and I also good in financial management. So vote for me. I will be a great counselor. But anyway, I need your support. Send an email to me about your questions so I can get to know this community better. Thank you.
Karl Tiefenbacher, I'd love for you to vote for me. I think voting in an independent in this election will send a really clear message to the council that basically what we've been doing for the last 10 years is not what Wellingtonians want. I promise I will fight for you. I will fight for your rates to be kept down. I will fight for our city to deliver what we're supposed to deliver. That includes the basics of fixing the pipes, obviously, but also just moving our city forward. Returning positivity to Wellington, that's what we need.
Well, you know, Wakeman is seeking number 2 or number 1. And the only way to fund Wellington with a wish list is getting the help from the Reserve Bank, and it happens to be right here in Wellington, along with the Prime Minister and all our politicians. We have to work hard on them to change the policy so we don't become prisoners saying we don't have enough money. When Europeans arrived here, they didn't have any food. Maori didn't charge them for feeding them when they had no food. We have to have money to feed ourselves.
Geordie Rogers. We've talked a lot about the issues that are core to our heart and that need solving right now. And I will be unwavering in facing those issues head on and investing in what we need so that we're not passing the same problems on to future generations. In the future, I want a place where our streets are clean, where people have warm and affordable housing, and where people can access beautiful places like the Town Belt. To do that, we need investment now. And to do that, you need to vote Geordie number 1.
Hi, Zen Ranger here. With your votes, I'll go to the Parliament and garner as much support as I can. Tell them exactly what I've been telling you tonight, and crucially that the voting regime that works for the rest of the country is not working for Wellington. It's hurting us big time. Your vote is the first crucial step to make. Your vote for me is the first crucial step to make the City Council listen to you, support you. Spend the revenue wisely, spend the revenue only for the express purpose of running the city. But please, I need your votes. Thank you.
Kia ora, lucky last. Vote for somebody who lives in this ward. I'm one of the 3 candidates here who lives in this ward. This is my home. I've got skin in the game. Vote for somebody who's truly independent. I am. Vote for somebody who's got a positive vision for Wellington. I've got things that I want to see achieve for a future-focused, climate-friendly, biodiverse, fantastic Wellington for the people who live here. I have the skills and experience to get on with lots of people. I'll work hard for you. Vote number 1, Ellen Blake. Thanks for coming.
Thank you, everybody. That wraps our evening. I just want you to know that 150 of you showed up tonight. So that shows us that we care. And so if each of us who is here tonight talks to 2 or 3 others about the importance of voting in this by-election, our neighbours, the people we see when we're out walking the dog or wherever that is, then democracy works. So I encourage you all to get out the vote. I'd also like to finish by thanking our candidates. I have spent a lot of the last 5 years engaging with our ward councillors, and we have had some excellent, we've got excellent ward councillors in the Lambton ward. I've seen the work they do, and quite frankly, it's a bloody awful job. And there's a whole bunch of reasons for that. But I want to thank each one of you for offering yourselves for public service, for making yourself vulnerable to the electorate, and also for bringing your families and those that love and care for you along with you, because they don't have any choice. I'm sure you talked to them before you did it, but they are on this journey too. So if it wasn't for people like you, all of you, this whole thing doesn't work. So we would like to give you a huge round of applause and thank you for standing. Everyone, that ends our evening. There is an opportunity to engage with the candidates a bit more in the garden room, which is back there. Cup of coffee, cup of tea. It's a nice sunny evening. Easiest way to get there is to go out the doors and go round the side, and we'll meet you over there. Thank you all for coming out.